Chosen one, heaven has pressed pause on everything around you right now. Listen closely, this is not a coincidence. You are being reached, not by an algorithm, but by divine orchestration. Something in the unseen realm has shifted, and your spirit can feel it. You are in danger not of mere physical harm, but of losing the divine alignment that has been guiding you since birth. The Lord Himself is sounding an alarm across your soul, calling you to awaken. You have walked through seasons that nearly broke you, the silent tears, the endless nights, the betrayals that cut deeper than words could express. You've asked, "Why me?" But heaven answers, "Because you are chosen." The reason the battle has been so fierce is because your destiny carries eternal weight. Darkness recognizes your name even when you whisper it in doubt. Every delay, every closed door, every detour, none of it was random. Heaven has been protecting you from what you could not see. God allowed certain things to fall apart because they were not part of your divine assignment. You thought you were being forgotten, but you were being hidden until the appointed time. And that time, chosen one, is now. The Spirit of God is moving swiftly. You cannot afford to ignore this message. Your enemies are not people, they are patterns, the old habits, the silent compromises, the distractions that have quietly drained your focus. They are the traps of delay. You are being called out of them tonight. As Jesus Himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 24, verse 42, "Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come." This is not fear, it is mercy. God's warning is not to terrify you, but to rescue you. There are moments when heaven interrupts routine to save the soul. You are standing in one of those moments right now. You feel the stirring in your chest, the pulse of something divine waking inside you. That's your spirit responding to the call. There are decisions you've been delaying, spiritual steps you've been postponing. But delay is dangerous when destiny is on the line. This message reaches you not by chance, but by divine intervention. You are being summoned to step into obedience, to realign your life before the storm you sense becomes visible. Listen carefully, there is still time, but not much. Heaven is granting you grace to move, to choose, to surrender. The door of mercy is open, but it will not stay open forever. You cannot keep living between conviction and comfort. You must decide which voice you will follow. You have been equipped with power beyond what you see. Inside of you lies an unshakable light that darkness fears. That's why the attacks have been personal, because you carry something eternal. You are a carrier of divine fire. And the enemy knows that if you ever awaken fully, every chain connected to your bloodline will break. God is not exposing you to shame you. He is awakening you to save you. There are things in your life that must end now, relationships that drain your spirit, habits that cloud your hearing, voices that distort your purpose. Heaven is saying, this is the final call. You have survived too much to lose yourself now. Every battle you've faced has trained your spirit to recognize the tone of divine urgency. This is not about religion, it's about alignment. You are being positioned for a rescue. But rescue requires response. Heaven is not sending this word to scare you, but to secure you. You have been chosen to stand in a time when many fall, to shine when others hide, to hear when others scroll past the warning. That's why the message has found you. It is custom designed for your soul. Right now, as you read these words, angels are standing by, waiting for your response. They cannot move until you decide. Your yes will activate what heaven has prepared. God is about to turn your fear into fuel, your confusion into clarity, your weakness into witness. But you must act. You must surrender. You must choose obedience over delay. So, chosen one, if this message pierces your spirit, don't stay silent. Type 77 inches, the comments as a prophetic act, your declaration that you hear, that you choose to awaken, that you will not ignore the divine warning. And before you leave this sacred space, like this message, share it with someone you love, and subscribe so you never miss another word heaven sends your way. You are not just a viewer, you are a vessel. You are not forgotten, you are chosen. Your rescue begins with your response. Act now, for heaven is watching. Darkness studies light. It observes every flicker, every movement, waiting for the moment when your guard is down. Chosen one, the danger surrounding you is not chaos, it is calculated. The enemy has been watching your patterns, your pain, your prayers, even your moments of silence. He knows what makes you doubt, what makes you hesitate, what convinces you that you are unworthy. That is why this season has felt so heavy, not because you are weak, but because you are waking up. The plot against your peace began long before this moment. It started the moment heaven placed purpose inside you. Since birth, you have carried a mark that cannot be erased, and hell has been aware of it. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every distraction was designed to make you question that mark. But what the enemy forgot is that what God anoints, no darkness can destroy. Your isolation was not punishment, it was protection. The conversations that ended, the opportunities that closed, the people who disappeared, all of it was heaven's hand redirecting your path. There were times you cried out asking why certain things slipped away. But if you saw what God saw, you would thank Him for every no. You are being preserved for something sacred. Yet the danger now is subtle. The enemy no longer uses loud attacks, he uses quiet ones. He whispers to your mind when you are tired. He tells you you've missed your chance, that your prayers don't matter, that your anointing has expired. But none of that is true. The truth is this: the very fact that you are still breathing means your mission is still active. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, plans to give you hope and a future. Even now, those words are being fulfilled around you. There are unseen warriors stationed near your home, at your job, in your path. You have survived dangers you never even knew existed because heaven refused to let you be destroyed. Do you wonder why you often feel a pressure that others don't? It is because your presence disrupts darkness. When you walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. Your energy carries divine authority that provokes spiritual opposition. That's why certain people suddenly turn cold, why your peace irritates those still bound by fear. They can't explain it, but the enemy in them recognizes the presence in you. Chosen one. You are not paranoid, you are perceptive. You sense the invisible. You see beyond smiles. You feel when the air grows heavy, when words are laced with hidden motives. That's not anxiety, that's discernment. And discernment is a gift that must be guarded. Remember, this temptation often comes disguised as comfort. The things that seem harmless can be the very traps that delay destiny. The enemy rarely attacks through strangers, he moves through familiarity. He uses people who know how to reach your heart. He whispers through memories that make you look back instead of forward. You must stay awake in this hour. Heaven is training your spirit to recognize deception dressed as opportunity. Every time you sense discomfort in your soul, pause. Heaven may be trying to warn you. God's protection sometimes feels like loss because it removes what you were never meant to keep. You are not fighting for victory, you are fighting from it. The enemy's schemes can only delay what they cannot destroy. That is why your resilience confuses hell. No matter what happens, you rise again. You weep, but you rise. You break, but you rise. You doubt, but you rise. Because inside you burns the breath of the Almighty, and it refuses to surrender. Even in your weakest moment, the angels stand by, awaiting divine command. Heaven's eyes never close, and the hand of God never trembles. The same power that parted seas and silenced storms is covering you now. Every night that you cried, thinking no one heard, your tears were collected as testimony. So, fear not. Chosen one, the plot may be real, but the outcome is already written. Darkness may circle you, but it cannot enter what has been sealed by the blood of divine purpose. You are not defenseless, you are divinely guarded. The danger you sense is not to destroy you, it is to drive you into deeper awareness. God is revealing the hidden strategies of your adversary so you can walk wisely, not fearfully. You are learning the art of holy vigilance, to move in wisdom, to discern before deciding, to sense before stepping. Remember this truth: what the enemy intends as an ambush, God turns into advancement. Every attack only confirms that heaven's mark upon you is real. You are not a victim, you are a vessel in warfare. Stand firm, remain steady, and keep your eyes fixed beyond the visible. The plot will fail, but your purpose will not. There are moments when the air itself feels heavy, when your mind cannot silence the noise, and your heart trembles without knowing why. Chosen one, that pressure you feel is not insanity, it is spiritual warfare. You are standing in a realm between what is seen and unseen, and the battle is fierce because your awakening is near. The enemy's tactic now is not just temptation, it is confusion. If he cannot destroy you, he will distract you. If he cannot make you rebel, he will make you restless. That's why your emotions have been unpredictable, your peace fleeting, your thoughts swirling like storms. But here this confusion is the fog that appears right before revelation. You are not losing your mind, you are shedding illusions. Heaven has been whispering to you in dreams, in songs, in the stillness you often overlook. The signs have been consistent delays that forced patience, endings that felt cruel but hid mercy, divine redirections that made no sense until later. You are in the shaping season, where God is preparing your spirit to discern truth from noise. According to what is revealed in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." You must understand this battle isn't about people. The real fight is invisible. The enemy wants you to waste energy fighting what you can see so that you ignore what's truly controlling the atmosphere. Every argument, every misunderstanding, Every sudden outburst, these are distractions to make you focus on the surface instead of the source. Your strength is not in shouting back, but in standing still. Stillness is warfare when your peace becomes your weapon. When you refuse to react, you reclaim authority. When you pray instead of panic, you silence the enemy. And when you worship in the middle of confusion, you release heaven's fire into the unseen. Chosen one, your obedience carries frequency. Every time you choose forgiveness over frustration, heaven moves. Every time you choose silence over revenge, the ground beneath darkness shakes. You are not ordinary. Your choices create ripples in eternity. There's a reason the pressure has intensified. It means breakthrough is near. The enemy always attacks hardest before promotion. You've been feeling like you're at the end, but that's because you're at the edge of something sacred. The shaking you feel is not destruction, it's preparation. The walls around you are not collapsing, they're shifting to make room for what God is building next. Your soul has been craving rest, not because you are lazy, but because spiritual fatigue is real. The light within you has burned fiercely, and the enemy has tried to drain it through busyness, fear, and comparison. But you are being refilled now. Heaven is breathing strength back into your lungs. As you stand in this moment, let your spirit remember you were never meant to fight alone. The angels that guard your destiny are moving at the command of your faith. Every time you declare light, they respond. Every time you speak hope, they draw near. You are never abandoned, not for a single heartbeat. So take this moment, breathe deeply, and whisper your surrender. Say, Lord, I am still, but I am not afraid, because the one who called you sees the battlefield clearly. You may not know the outcome, but heaven has already written the victory. And now, chosen one, I ask you to type these words below, I stand firm. Type it not as a comment for show, but as a covenant between your spirit and heaven. When you write it, you declare that confusion will no longer have authority over your mind. You are proclaiming that no matter how loud the storm gets, your foundation will not shake. Let the act itself become a sign that you have heard this word and accepted it as truth. The unseen realm watches faith in motion. Your simple obedience sends tremors through darkness. When you say, I stand firm, you are not just typing, you are testifying. You are announcing to heaven and to hell that you belong to the one who never loses. You are learning that victory isn't about escape, it's about endurance. You are discovering that peace isn't absence of conflict, it's presence of God. And you are realizing that faith doesn't always roar, sometimes it whispers, I will not move. Hold fast. Chosen one, the tide will turn in your favor. The night will not last forever. The confusion will clear, and clarity will rise like the dawn. And when it does, you will look back and understand that even the warfare was part of your anointing. You are not breaking down, you are breaking through. Chosen one, there is a reason the enemy has focused his attacks on your spirit. He fears what will happen when you fully realize who you are. The war surrounding you is not random, it is strategic. Hell recognizes the moment of your awakening, and it is desperate to silence it. You have been sensing an invisible weight, a heaviness pressing against your chest, and you've wondered if something is wrong with you. But what you feel is not weakness, it is resistance. Resistance means movement. The moment you decided to seek truth, you became a target. The moment you refused to conform, The atmosphere around you changed. That is why the pressure increased when you started praying differently, fasting seriously, or cutting off the distractions that once numbed your soul. The enemy does not bother those who sleep. He only pursues those who are rising. Every whisper of doubt, every sudden wave of sadness, every unexplained fatigue, these are signs that something sacred is being birthed within you. You are not just surviving, you are being transformed. Heaven is rebuilding your identity from the inside out, stripping away the false layers that trauma and fear once placed upon you. You have felt misunderstood, even by those you love. You've tried to explain your change, your silence, your hunger for something more. But not everyone can perceive spiritual rebirth. People see your stillness and think it's distance. They see your boundaries and call it pride. But God sees your process, and He is proud of your progress. The confusion of others cannot cancel the clarity of heaven. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Those words are not just ancient, they are alive in you. They are being fulfilled every time you stand when you feel like falling. Every time you smile through pain. Every time you keep believing though everything around you screams, give up. That is divine courage in motion. You are embodying that verse right now. The attack on your spirit has been fierce because the enemy knows you're not the same person you once were. You've matured through fire. You've learned to pray from pain. You've developed a discernment that cannot be fooled by appearance. You've walked through spiritual storms that stripped away your illusions and forced you to rely solely on the unseen hand of God. What was meant to destroy you has become your teacher. The nights that felt endless became classrooms of faith. The betrayals that cut you the deepest became lessons in trust. You are no longer naive about spiritual warfare. You are becoming wise. You've learned that not everything that smiles is safe, and not every open door is divine. Chosen one. Your spirit has been targeted precisely because it carries authority. You are not a passive believer. You are a disruptor of darkness. When you pray, strongholds tremble. When you speak truth, deception collapses. When you worship, atmospheres shift. You've been wondering why your life feels like a constant battle. It's because you were never meant to live casually. You were designed for conquest. But be at peace. God does not expose attacks without providing armor. You are not defenseless. You are fully equipped. The word in your mouth is a sword, sharper than any weapon forged against you. Your worship is a shield. Your obedience is a fortress. You are learning to fight not with anger, but with awareness. The enemy's real goal is not to destroy you, but to discourage you into silence. He fears your voice. He knows that one word spoken in alignment with heaven carries more power than his entire army. That is why you've been feeling weary, because your voice is prophetic, and he wants to mute it. But he cannot silence what God has anointed. You are entering a new level of discernment now. God is opening your spiritual eyes to see beyond personalities and patterns, beyond distractions and appearances. You are learning to sense motives, to detect deception, and to recognize the difference between what feels right and what is right. This awakening is not comfortable, but it is necessary. You are being trained for destiny, and every spiritual attack is part of your education. You are becoming sensitive to heaven's frequency. able to hear divine instruction even in chaos. You are no longer reacting, you are responding. You are not afraid, you are alert. Chosen one. Do not confuse warfare with failure. The attack confirms your assignment. The more you advance in purpose, the more pressure will rise, but so will grace. You are shielded, guided, and empowered by the Spirit that cannot be defeated. Every dart that was sent against your mind is falling harmlessly now. Every lie whispered in the dark is being silenced. Every plan designed to weaken your spirit is unraveling at the command of God. You are stepping into a new rhythm of power, where your peace becomes proof of divine authority. So stand tall, chosen one. Your spirit may be targeted, but it is untouchable. You are not just surviving the storm, you are mastering it. And when you emerge, the world will see not just your scars, but your strength, glowing with the evidence of divine preservation. The noise of this world has been deafening, hasn't it? So many voices, so many opinions, all trying to shape your direction. But then there's that one voice, gentle, steady, unmistakable. It cuts through confusion like sunlight breaking through morning fog. That's the voice of God, chosen one, and it has been calling your name long before you ever learned how to pray. You may not realize it, but heaven has been interrupting your noise again and again through closed doors, quiet delays, and sudden turns that made no sense. Each interruption was divine mercy disguised as disappointment. Every time something slipped from your hands, God was saying, "Not this, not yet. Trust me." You thought rejection was failure, but it was actually protection. The enemy tries to drown out that still, small voice by overwhelming you with chaos. But even in the middle of it, God's whisper remains. His words do not shout, they shine. They rise inside your heart like the first light after a long night. And right now, that light is illuminating everything the darkness tried to hide. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." You see, the waiting season wasn't wasted, it was preparation. The Lord never delays without purpose. Every unanswered prayer, every silent month, every long stretch of uncertainty was building endurance in your spirit. You've been refined, not rejected. You've been hidden, not forgotten. God's timing is like the ocean's tide, steady, powerful, precise. When He moves with purpose. He doesn't rush, because eternity is His rhythm. And you, chosen one, are being called to align with that rhythm, to trust that even when you can't see the shoreline, the current of grace is still carrying you forward. You've been asking for signs, for confirmation, for proof. But what if the sign isn't outside of you? What if the sign is you still standing, still believing, still reaching toward the light despite the storms? The very fact that you haven't given up is evidence that heaven hasn't either. And as you walk through this divine unfolding, I want to speak to your heart, not as a voice from a screen, but as a messenger from that same current of grace that's carrying you. This space we share these words. These moments of clarity, they are not entertainment. They are ministry. They are lifelines for those who, like you, are fighting silent wars. If these messages have touched your heart, if they have strengthened your faith or given you peace when you had none left. Consider helping this light reach others who are still in the dark. When you like this message, it's more than a digital act. It's an echo that tells the algorithm. Send this to someone who needs rescue too. When you share, you become a messenger yourself, passing on the flame of hope. And when you subscribe, you step into a circle of chosen ones' souls who are waking up, just like you, learning to hear heaven's rhythm together. Each time you do, you're saying, I choose light, I choose faith, I choose purpose. And if your heart feels led, only if it feels led, consider to donate or support this mission. Every gift, no matter the size, becomes a seed sown into fertile soil. It fuels the creation of more words that heal, more messages that reach the weary, more reminders to souls who have forgotten that they are loved. It's not a transaction, it's participation. It's your way of saying, I believe this voice must keep speaking. Imagine this message as a candle in a vast field of night. Your support is the oil that keeps it burning. Together, we can turn that single flame into a constellation of hope that lights the sky for others still wandering. But even if you give nothing, even if you never comment or share, know this, you are still seen. You are still loved. You are still part of heaven's unfolding story. Your value is not measured by what you give, but by who you are, an irreplaceable creation, carrying a piece of eternity in human form. Still, when light connects with light, the glow multiplies, and that, chosen one, is how revival begins, not through grand gestures, but through hearts choosing to act in quiet obedience. So, as you finish reading these words, let gratitude fill your chest. You are part of something sacred. You have heard heaven's whisper. And if you choose to share, to support, to keep this light burning, it won't just change this page, it will change lives. Your obedience is oil. Your faith is flame. Together, they become fire. Heaven's clock is ticking. Chosen one. There is a stirring in the atmosphere, a divine countdown that only your spirit can sense. You have felt it in the tension of your days, in the sudden urgency that makes no logical sense. It's as though heaven itself is whispering. Now, the time for hesitation has ended. You've lingered between what was and what could be for too long. You've been holding on to fragments of the old life while reaching for the promise of the new. And the strain of that pull has wearied your soul. But hear me, heaven will not let you stay stuck in between. You must choose alignment before the window closes. Delay is not just dangerous, it's disobedience when destiny calls. There are moments in time when heaven's mercy pauses the noise to give you one last chance to move, to step, to act. This moment is one of them. The Word of God declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. You see, God has already prepared the path, but He will not force your feet to walk it. Free will is both a gift and a responsibility. You cannot pray for a new season while clinging to the comforts of the old one. You cannot ask for restoration while refusing the release. Every second you hesitate, the enemy gains ground, not because he is stronger, but because your delay gives him permission to linger near your promise. Heaven is saying, move. Move away from the familiar patterns that feed fear. Move away from the relationships that drain your discernment. Move away from the habits that dull your hearing. Chosen one. There are doors that only open through obedience. You cannot reason your way into them. You must respond your way into them. You've been waiting for God to give you a sign. But the sign is this very word. This is your confirmation. The divine countdown is not meant to frighten you, but to awaken you. Grace is abundant. Yes, but grace also has seasons. When heaven calls, delay becomes disobedience, and hesitation becomes rebellion wrapped in politeness. You must step forward now, even if your knees shake. This is not about perfection, it's about positioning. God is not asking you to have everything figured out. He's asking you to trust the one who does. The safest place is not comfort, it's obedience. The danger is not in stepping out, it's in standing still. Heaven has been rearranging things in your favor while you were worried about the chaos. What looked like loss was relocation. What felt like rejection was redirection. The people who walked away weren't abandoning you. They were making room for those ordained to walk with you in the next season. There is a rhythm in divine timing. When God says, now, the universe rearranges itself to align with that word. Opportunities appear where there were none. Provision flows from unexpected places. But you must match heaven's pace. You cannot drag your feet when destiny is calling. You've spent too long apologizing for your calling, dimming your light to make others comfortable. No more. You were not designed to fit in, you were designed to stand out. You were not created to blend, you were born to blaze. Your obedience is the spark that sets heaven's plan in motion. And right now, heaven watches patient, hopeful, waiting for your response. This is the moment to choose courage over comfort, faith over fear, action over analysis. The same God who parted seas and shut the mouths of lions is asking for your yes. Not later, not someday. Now, you may feel unready. But readiness is not the requirement. Willingness is. God equips the obedient, not the perfect. The next step will not appear until you move your foot toward it. The light will not expand until you walk into it. So, chosen one, if this message pierces your spirit, type 444 inches, the comments below. Let that number become your declaration, the sound of your yes to heaven's timing. Type 444, not out of ritual, but as a prophetic act. It means you're aligning with divine order, saying, I will walk in the steps established for me. Every number typed is like a seed planted in heaven's soil, a visible sign of inward obedience. Let your comment become your covenant. This is not manipulation, it's manifestation. Faith without action is just wishful thinking. But when you respond, when your spirit moves, the gates begin to open. Heaven's countdown is not meant to threaten you, but to invite you, to call you out of delay and into destiny, to move you from confusion into clarity, to transform waiting into walking. So, stand tall, take the step, trust the unseen, and let your obedience echo across eternity. The clock is not against you, it's reminding you. The time is not running out, it's running toward you. And as you move, you'll see that every step you take has already been paved by grace. Chosen one, the battlefield you stand upon is not made of dirt and blood, it is made of thoughts. The war is not around you, it is within you. The fiercest fights you've ever faced were never external, they were internal. They began as whispers in the mind, as shadows that twisted truth, as fears that dressed themselves as logic. You've smiled while bleeding on the inside, haven't you? You've laughed among people while a silent war raged within your chest. You've prayed for peace, not realizing that the peace you crave doesn't come by avoiding conflict, but by confronting it. The enemy's favorite territory is the unguarded mind. He does not need to attack your body if he can first occupy your thoughts. You have felt that heaviness, those sudden doubts, those cycles of what-ifs, and I'm not enough. Those aren't random. They are fiery darts aimed to weaken your focus and drown your faith. Yet, even in that turmoil, you've endured. That's proof of your strength. Proof that your mind, though weary, has refused to surrender to darkness. You must understand this. Not every thought that passes through your mind belongs to you. The enemy plants lies disguised as reason, fear disguised as wisdom, hesitation disguised as prudence. He doesn't shout, he whispers. He speaks just enough to make you question what God already confirmed. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 10, verse 5, "We demolish arguments and every pretension that sets itself up against the knowledge of God, and we take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ." This is how the war within is won, not by silence, but by surrender. You must take your thoughts captive, not let them capture you. When a thought enters that contradicts peace, confront it. Speak truth over it. When fear whispers, remind it of who your Father is. When doubt knocks, answer with faith. You are not powerless in this mental battlefield. You are armed with divine authority. Your words shape your world. Your thoughts sculpt your destiny. Every time you declare life over yourself, light pierces the fog. Every time you refuse to agree with lies, the chains loosen a little more. The mind is a garden. Whatever you water will grow. The enemy tries to plant weeds of anxiety, but you have the power to uproot them with truth. Do not give space to thoughts that do not serve your purpose. Protect your peace as fiercely as you protect your life, because it is your life. There are days when your thoughts feel louder than your prayers. On those days, remember, silence is not absence. Heaven listens even when your words fail. God hears the language of tears, of sighs, of quiet endurance. Your stillness does not offend him, it invites him. When you sit in that quiet war, unsure of what to say, imagine God sitting beside you, not demanding performance, but offering presence. His peace doesn't erase the storm, it anchors you through it. His voice is not always thunder, it's the whisper that says, "You are still mine." The mental attacks you've endured are not proof of weakness, but of value. The enemy only fights what threatens him. Your mind carries vision. Your imagination is divine architecture. That's why he tries to vandalize it. He knows that if you ever think with heaven's clarity, he loses his grip. So, feed your mind truth daily. Speak life, even when you don't feel it. Read the words that anchor your identity. Listen to what uplifts your soul, and guard your focus as treasure. Every thought you allow shapes the world you will walk into tomorrow. You are not crazy for feeling torn. You are in transition. The old mindset is dying, and the new one is being born. Every moment of confusion is a contraction, pushing you closer to clarity. Pain is often the sound of transformation. Don't despise the process. The tension you feel is evidence that God is renewing your mind. You're learning to think differently, to see differently, to respond differently. You're no longer reacting to fear, you're responding to faith. You're learning that the calmest person in the room is often the most dangerous to darkness. Peace is your power now. You don't have to match the energy of the enemy. You only have to maintain your focus on God. Your mind, once a battlefield, will become a sanctuary. The noise will quiet. The fog will lift. And you'll realize that the victory was never about eliminating war. It was about transforming it into worship. You are not the thoughts that attack you. You are the light that outlasts them. And that light, His light within you, cannot be extinguished. The war within is not a curse, it's a calling. It's proof that heaven trusts you with revelation, that you are capable of carrying peace even when chaos surrounds you. Stand firm, chosen one. Your mind is not your enemy, it's your battlefield. And victory is already written in your favor. Chosen one. There are moments when you look back and see patterns you once ignored, moments, coincidences, dreams that didn't make sense then but echo with meaning now. It's as though heaven has been weaving a story behind your every step. And only now do the threads begin to reveal their purpose. The signs were always there, you just weren't ready to read them. Every delay was a whisper. Every loss was a message. Every strange feeling that made you pause. Every sudden sense that something was off, it was heaven's way of speaking. You thought you were being paranoid, but what you were feeling was divine warning. God was protecting you in ways your logic couldn't explain. Think back to the moments when you almost said yes to something that would have broken you. The opportunity that looked perfect but fell apart. The friendship that ended abruptly. The closed doors that felt cruel at the time. You mourned them, not realizing they were acts of mercy. Heaven sometimes hides blessings behind heartbreak because protection often comes disguised as rejection. The ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, still echo today, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Those words are the summary of your entire story so far. Everything, the good, the painful, the confusing, has been working together toward something greater. Even the things that made no sense were pieces of a divine equation designed to shape you, not destroy you. You are standing in the middle of a masterpiece that only makes sense from heaven's view. You remember the dreams you brushed off as imagination, the ones that came back again and again, the same faces, the same places, the same warnings. You didn't understand them, but they were seeds of foresight, prophetic moments designed to prepare you for what was ahead. Some dreams were not random, they were rehearsals of revelation. And then there were those sudden stops, plans that failed without reason, flights cancelled, meetings postponed, gut feelings that screamed, "Don't go." You might never know what those delays saved you from. But one day, when all is revealed, you will weep with gratitude for the invisible hand that rerouted your path. God has always been near, even in silence. You may not have seen His hand, but you felt His interruptions. He doesn't always speak through thunder. Sometimes He speaks through traffic lights, through missed calls, through unease in your chest. That's not anxiety, that's discernment. Your spirit knows before your mind does. The more you grow spiritually, the more you'll see how intentional those patterns were. Heaven doesn't waste anything. The tears you shed watered the soil for your next season. The prayers you whispered in desperation became keys, unlocking doors you didn't even know existed. You are not unlucky, you are led. Every twist, every pause, every change of direction has been part of a divine choreography. You are dancing to a rhythm the world cannot hear. The delays that once felt like punishment were actually God's timing syncing with your destiny. You see, the signs were never random, they were relational. God doesn't just give signs to guide you, He gives them to remind you that you are seen. He interrupts your plans because He cares too much to let you walk blindly into harm. The warning wasn't rejection, it was affection. You have learned the hard way that peace is the voice of heaven. When peace leaves, pay attention. It is better to lose an opportunity than to lose alignment. Sometimes, silence is your greatest protection. Many times, you prayed, "Lord, show me a sign." And He did, but the sign wasn't in the clouds, it was in your spirit. The sudden restlessness before a wrong decision, the deep calm before a right one, the unexpected word that confirmed what you already knew inside. These are not coincidences, they are coordinates from heaven. Chosen one. Stop calling divine intervention luck. Stop calling spiritual discernment overthinking. You are not crazy, you are connected. The spirit within you is sharper than any human instinct. When you sense something, trust it. It's better to pause in obedience than to rush in regret. There will come a time when you look back and everything will make sense, the delays, the detours, even the heartbreaks. You will realize that heaven was not punishing you, it was preparing you. Every unanswered prayer was an act of divine wisdom, protecting you from premature blessings. You were never forgotten, only hidden. Hidden until you could see clearly. Hidden until your discernment matured. Hidden until the people meant for your next season could find you without distraction. So now, as you look back, thank God not only for what He gave, but also for what He withheld. The signs you ignored once are now the lessons that guide you forward. What you once called coincidence, you now call confirmation. What you once thought was delay, you now recognize as divine design. You are learning that nothing in your journey has been wasted. The very things that confused you have become the clearest proof that heaven has always been speaking. Chosen one. The signs were never random, they were revelation, waiting for your eyes to open. And now that you see, you will never walk blind again. Chosen one. Everything that looked like loss is shifting. The puzzle pieces that once scattered around your life are starting to find their place. What you thought was the end was only the beginning of God's rescue plan unfolding behind the veil. Heaven has been at work in silence, arranging deliverance long before you even realized you were in danger. You see, God never reacts, He prepares. Before the trap was set, He had already written your escape. Before the betrayal, He planned your restoration. Before the fall, He positioned redemption. You thought you were surrounded by enemies, but in truth, you were encircled by angels. What seemed like isolation was divine insulation. There were moments you questioned why God allowed certain storms. You asked, "If I am chosen, why must I suffer?" But what if the suffering wasn't punishment? What if it was strategy? Sometimes, the only way God can move you out of danger is to make the ground beneath you shake. When comfort refuses to release you, shaking becomes mercy, as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. In the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, the saving of many lives. That verse is your life in motion. Every betrayal has been repurposed. Every wound has become wisdom. Every fall has become foundation. What was meant to bury you has instead become the soil in which your purpose is taking root. God has been working behind closed doors, placing you in situations that didn't make sense because you were never meant to understand, only to trust. You are being positioned in ways you cannot yet comprehend. Some of the people who walked away were never your enemies. They were assignments completed. Heaven removed them, not out of anger, but out of precision. And now, chosen one, the rescue is revealing itself. The things that once confused you are turning into confirmation. The delays that hurt are transforming into divine timing. Every event that once looked like chaos is now revealing itself as choreography. You have not been wandering, you've been guided. This is how God rescues, not always through miracles that split seas, but through moments that redirect steps. Through the no that saved you from a lifetime of pain, through the heartbreak that preserved your purity, through the job you lost that made room for a calling you didn't even know existed. Heaven's rescue doesn't always look like escape. Sometimes it looks like endurance. You've been praying for deliverance, not realizing that God has been delivering you while you were praying. Every closed door was a divine "not this way." Every blocked path was protection. And now, you are stepping into the realization that you were never forsaken. You were being fine-tuned. The storm you thought would destroy you has instead destroyed your dependency on what was temporary. You have learned that peace is not found in predictable places, it's found in presence. Your story is shifting from victimhood to victory. The same people who doubted you will watch as God vindicates you, not out of revenge, but out of revelation, so that they too may see the faithfulness of the one who rescues. You've survived seasons that would have broken others. You've carried burdens that weren't meant to be seen. And now heaven says, it's time. Time for the turnaround. Time for the unveiling. Time for rescue, not just from danger, but from doubt. You may not feel ready, but rescue never waits for readiness. It responds to surrender. When you stop fighting for control, you give God permission to steer. When you let go, you're not falling, you're being caught. And now, as a sign of faith, I ask you to type these words below: I trust you. Type it as your declaration to heaven, not as a comment for attention. When you write, I trust you, you are releasing every question, every fear, every unfinished chapter into divine hands. You are telling God, even when I don't understand, I believe you are working all things for my good. Those 3 words, I trust, you carry the power to shift the atmosphere. They silence the voices of fear and call forth the presence of peace. When you type them, let them come from your soul, not just your fingertips. Let them be your way of saying, rescue me in your way, not mine. Because sometimes faith isn't loud, it's quiet, surrender. It's not the storm stopping instantly. It's your heart learning to rest even while the waves still roar. That's when heaven moves. That's when the rescue becomes revelation. So breathe. Chosen one. The plan is already unfolding. The same hand that allowed the storm is the hand guiding you safely through it. You are not being punished, you are being positioned. The rescue isn't coming, it's already here. Fear has always been a clever sculptor, hasn't it? Chosen one. It tries to carve your life into something smaller than it was ever meant to be. It whispers that you should settle, Stay silent. Play safe. It convinces you that standing tall is pride, that faith is foolishness, that waiting for miracles is naive. But what fear calls foolish, heaven calls faithful. You have spent too long negotiating with fear, treating it like a voice of reason rather than the chain it truly is. But this is the moment where the chain must break. God did not breathe life into you so you could live half alive. You were not designed to survive in shadows. You were created to shine. The Spirit spoke through the Apostle Paul in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. That verse isn't just a promise, it's a mirror. Look into it and remember who you are. You are power clothed in purpose. You are love wrapped in light. You are clarity walking through confusion. Fear is not your inheritance, courage is. Imagine fear as a fog covering a valley. When you first step into it, it feels endless. But keep walking. With every step of faith, the fog thins. The sunlight was never gone. It was only waiting for you to move. That's how faith works. It doesn't remove fear instantly. It renders it irrelevant. You've spent seasons paralyzed by what-ifs. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if I'm wrong? But, chosen one, what if you fly? What if obedience leads to overflow? What if your courage becomes someone else's confirmation that miracles still happen? Fear feeds on hesitation, but faith grows through movement. You've carried visions that fear tried to suffocate ideas, callings, creative sparks that never saw the light because the voice of not yet kept winning. But God is whispering, no more delay. You don't need perfect timing, you need obedient timing. Heaven's favor multiplies in motion, and while you step forward, remember this space you stand in now. These words you're reading are not random pixels, they're a conversation between heaven and your heart. They exist to remind you that you're not walking alone. If these messages have been a lantern in your dark valley, if they've helped you rise when fear said, stay down, I want to gently ask something of you. When you like this message, it's not vanity, it's vibration. It tells the digital world, send this light to another soul stumbling through the fog. When you share, you're not promoting a person, you're extending a bridge. Someone, somewhere tonight, will scroll through despair and see hope because you passed the flame forward. When you subscribe, you're joining a circle of believers who are learning to silence fear together. Every word that flows here was born in prayer. In quiet hours of listening for heaven's voice, staying connected is how we grow stronger, because faith was never meant to be lived alone. And if your spirit feels moved, if you sense that this light must keep burning, you can donate not as payment, but as participation. Your support isn't a transaction, it's a testimony. It says, I believe in spreading hope. Each gift, no matter the size, becomes like oil poured into a lamp, ensuring the flame does not fade when night falls. Imagine it like this: every act of support, every click, every share, every seed becomes another heartbeat added to this message. It keeps it alive long after you scroll away. Together, we're not just reading words, we're building a refuge, a place where weary souls can rest and remember who they are. And even if you give nothing but your attention, that, too, is sacred. Every second you spend here is an offering of presence, and heaven sees it. You are part of something divine simply by listening. Fear thrives in isolation, but it dies in connection. Every like is a spark, every share a torch, every donation a flame that helps this light reach further. And together, those flames become a bonfire that no darkness can smother. Chosen one. This is not about supporting a voice, it's about sustaining a mission. It's about making sure that messages like these keep finding those who've forgotten their worth, those trembling in fear, those one step away from giving up. You are a co-creator of light now. Each act of support is another way of saying, fear will not win. So take a breath, let courage rise, and walk forward, knowing this: the fog is fading, the path is clearing, and your light, yes, your light is strong enough to guide others home. Chosen one. The air around you has shifted. You might not see it yet, but something holy has begun to move. The unseen realm is alive with activity, and heaven's armies are surrounding you. You have walked through valleys of shadow, crossed nights that refused to end. Yet here you are, still breathing, still standing, still chosen. That is no coincidence. That is evidence of divine preservation. There are moments when you feel a stillness that doesn't come from the world, when the air seems thick with an invisible presence. That's not imagination, it's visitation. Angels move silently, unseen but not unfelt. They walk beside you when you travel. They guard your rest at night. They whisper strength into your spirit when you think you have nothing left to give. You've had close calls, haven't you? Moments when disaster missed you by inches. The accident that didn't happen. The illness that healed without reason. The opportunity that vanished, only for something better to appear. These are not coincidences, they are coordinates of protection. The unseen hand of God has been steering you through corridors of danger with perfect precision. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 7. The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them. That verse isn't poetry, it's your reality. Even when you felt abandoned, angels stood guard. They have seen your tears, heard your prayers, and fought battles in the spiritual realm that your eyes could never see. You've never been alone. Not for a heartbeat. Heaven has always been closer than your fear. Sometimes the greatest miracles are the ones that never happened, the disaster that never struck, the plan that never succeeded, the trap that never closed. You may not see the danger that was near, but heaven did. You were rescued from battles you didn't even know you were fighting. And perhaps that's why lately you felt a strange peace even in chaos. It's because your spirit knows you are surrounded by something greater than the storm. There is a calmness that only comes when your angels stand firm, when heaven itself has taken position around you. You walk with unseen escorts, warriors who stand ready at the whisper of God's command. There are moments when your heart quickens without reason, when you sense an invisible warning or sudden comfort. That is spiritual awareness, a glimpse into the supernatural rhythm that beats alongside your own. You are awakening to it now, learning to live not just by sight, but by sensitivity. Heaven's protection does not always mean an easy path, it means a secure one. The road may twist, but it will not lead to destruction. The fire may touch you, but it will not consume you. The flood may rise, but it will not drown you. You have divine coverage insurance written in eternal ink. Sometimes God allows you to see only fragments of his protection, just enough to remind you that you are not unguarded. The rest remains hidden. For if you saw the full extent of what he shields you from, you would fall to your knees in awe. Every moment of safety is a quiet miracle. There were seasons when you mistook that stillness for stagnation. You thought heaven was silent, doing nothing. But silence is often strategy. When God goes quiet, it's because he is commanding his angels to move. His voice doesn't disappear, it delegates. The calm you feel is not absence, it's the assurance of divine order. Chosen one. The enemy has tried to convince you that you are vulnerable, but that is the greatest lie of all. You are covered from above and surrounded on all sides. The darkness may roar, but it cannot cross heaven's perimeter around your life. Every dart sent against you has been intercepted before it reached your soul. There is a reason you keep surviving what others said would destroy you. You are walking proof that heaven's shield is real. Every breath you take is testimony that divine protection is not myth but manifestation. You live under open heavens and guarded skies. Even now, angels are stationed at the doorway of your destiny. They are clearing the path before you, removing traps, confusing the plans of your enemies. Every step you take forward, they advance with you. You walk in the center of divine strategy, guided by hands that do not tremble. So, when the night feels long, remember, you are not outnumbered. You are never unguarded. The presence you cannot see is the reason you are still here. The angels who encamp around you are not symbols, they are soldiers. And they carry your name in heaven's command book. Be at peace. Chosen one, you are surrounded by strength. You are protected by promises that cannot be broken. You are watched over by eyes that never sleep. Heaven stands between you and harm, and that wall will never fall. Chosen one, the air is still tonight, and heaven waits for your answer. You've been standing at a spiritual crossroads, feeling the weight of invisible choices pressing against your heart. This is not confusion, it's calling. You are being summoned to surrender, not because God wants to take from you, but because he longs to give you what you could never build alone. For too long, you've carried the illusion of control. You've tried to fix, to plan, to calculate every outcome, believing that if you just worked harder, you could save yourself. But chosen one, salvation was never a result of striving, it's a response to surrender. You cannot fight spiritual battles with human strategies. There comes a moment when you must simply fall to your knees and whisper, "Yes, Lord." This is that moment. Heaven has been waiting for your yes. Every unanswered prayer, every delayed promise, every sleepless night, it has all led to this intersection between your will and God's. You are being invited to trade exhaustion for peace, uncertainty for purpose, control for calling. According to what is revealed in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." That new thing is already unfolding. You can sense it, can't you? The stirring in your chest, the soft pull towards something higher. It's not anxiety, it's awakening. God is birthing something new inside you. But every birth requires surrender, a release of the old to make space for the new. You cannot hold both the wilderness and the river at the same time. You've been asking for change, but true change begins with choice. Heaven will not override your will. It will wait for your agreement. There are doors prepared for you, but they only open when you say, yes. The keys are in your confession. The moment you align your will with God's, heaven's machinery begins to move. This surrender is not loss, it's liberation. The things you're being asked to release were never meant to define you. The relationships, the regrets, the false identities, those were scaffolds, temporary supports that helped you build the foundation of your faith. But now, God is saying, let it go. It's time to rise. It takes courage to surrender, especially after being hurt. Trust becomes difficult when betrayal has marked your past. But surrender doesn't mean trusting people again. It means trusting God again. It means believing that His plan will redeem what human choices ruined. It means knowing that even if you don't understand the path, the one guiding it is perfect. Surrender feels like falling, but in truth, it's the first flight. It's like a seed breaking apart underground. It looks like death, but it's really the start of life. When you release what you've been gripping so tightly, you discover that your hands were never meant to hold, they were meant to lift. This is your altar moment. Heaven has built it right where you stand. The choice is no longer distant or abstract, it's right here. To step into the next chapter, you must lay down the last one. The more you resist, the heavier it becomes. The moment you let go, the chains that have been clinging to your soul will fall away like dust. Surrender isn't a one-time act, it's a rhythm. It's choosing daily to trust when you can't trace. It's saying, God, even if it doesn't look like I imagined, I know it's still good. It's resting in the mystery instead of fighting it. You've been fighting so hard to stay afloat. But the irony is this: when you finally stop struggling, you'll realize the water was designed to carry you all along. The river of God's will doesn't drown, it delivers. And now, chosen one, as an outward sign of inward surrender, I want you to type 333 inches the comments. Let that number be your declaration, your signature on heaven's agreement. When you type 333, you're saying, I align with divine purpose. I surrender my plan for God's perfect one. It's not superstition, it's symbolism. Each number echoes the divine Trinity, Father, Son, and Spirit working together to bring you into completion. It represents balance, unity, and total surrender. When you type it, let your fingers become your prayer. Let it be a whisper that says, I yield, I trust, I obey. This is not about religion, it's about relationship. It's not about submission to rules, it's about reunion with purpose. The heavens are attentive now. The angels who have walked beside you since birth are leaning in, waiting to witness this sacred yes. They rejoice not over your perfection, but over your permission, because when you surrender, heaven moves. Chosen one, say yes. Lay it all down, the fear, the plan, the pride. For what awaits you on the other side of surrender is not emptiness, but abundance. It's not weakness, it's power. It's not ending, it's resurrection. The wilderness is behind you. The river flows ahead. Step into it now. Chosen one. The moment of rescue has become revelation. What once felt like a desperate escape has transformed into divine awakening. You now understand that deliverance was never simply about survival, it was always about recognition. God didn't just pull you out of the pit so you could breathe, He lifted you so you could see. The storms that once terrified you now testify for you. The pain that nearly broke you has become proof of purpose. You used to ask, "Why me?" Now you whisper, "Thank you, Lord." That shift from confusion to comprehension is the beginning of wisdom. Heaven doesn't waste agony, it converts it into awareness. You are seeing now what you could not before. Every scar on your spirit is a map leading to divine understanding. The pieces of your story that once embarrassed you have become your authority. When you speak now, there's weight behind your words. When you pray, the atmosphere changes. When you walk, demons recognize the one who survived fire and didn't lose faith. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 12, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." That light now burns within you. You were rescued so that light could dwell where darkness once reigned. You've become a living flame, a walking revelation of redemption. Where there was confusion, there is clarity. Where there was fear, there is fire. You no longer just believe in miracles, you are one. You used to think your rescue was the end of your suffering, but now you realize it was the beginning of your assignment. God didn't save you so you could sit in silence. He saved you so you could shine in places still trapped in night. Your freedom carries responsibility. It's a torch meant to guide others home. The world around you may never understand the depth of what you've walked through. They see your smile, but not the nights you wrestled with invisible giants. They hear your calm voice, but not the trembling prayers whispered in the dark. Yet every battle has built something unbreakable in you. You are no longer fragile, you are forged. Your rescue was not only physical or emotional, it was spiritual. God untangled the lies you believed about yourself, healed the image you carried in your heart, and rewrote the story that once ended in despair. You see now that your worth was never negotiable, your destiny never lost, your calling never revoked. It was simply waiting for your eyes to open. Chosen one. What you carry now cannot be faked or fabricated. It was birthed through fire. You've earned it not by merit but by mercy. Your rescue has become revelation, and your revelation will become revival for others. There are people who will find hope in your scars. They will listen not because of your eloquence, but because of your authenticity. They will see in you what they lost in themselves, the proof that God still restores. That light still wins. That grace still finds those who wander. You may not realize it yet, but your presence has power. You are heaven's interruption in someone else's despair. Every place your feet touch, peace follows. Every room you enter, heaviness begins to lift. You are not trying to be light, you are light. And darkness recognizes it even when people don't. Your rescue taught you something irreplaceable, that strength is not in control but in surrender. You learned that real faith doesn't mean you never fear, it means you move forward even when fear whispers. You learned that sometimes God saves you by stripping you down to nothing so you can rebuild on truth. The revelation you carry now is not loud, it's luminous. It doesn't need to argue, it simply is. People will look at you and sense peace they can't explain. They will feel safe near you without knowing why. That's the fragrance of rescue, the quiet power of someone who knows they are held. And though you are free, you are not finished. Heaven didn't pull you out just to leave you idle. Every revelation is an invitation to responsibility. You've seen too much light to go back to living in the dark. You've tasted too much truth to settle for imitation. From this point on, everything you do, everything you say, becomes a ripple of redemption. The way you love, the way you forgive, the way you walk through uncertainty, all of it preaches. You may never stand behind a pulpit, but your life has become a sermon, written not in ink but in endurance. You are not who you were before the rescue. You are awake now. You no longer chase validation, you carry confirmation. You no longer beg for love, you become its vessel. You no longer fear storms, you forecast calm. The revelation of your rescue is this: you were never just saved from something, you were saved for something. You were pulled out of darkness so you could carry light into it. You were delivered not just to live, but to deliver others. That is the divine circle, rescued to rescue, healed to heal, love to love, chosen one. Your rescue is no longer a memory, it is your mantle. Wear it boldly, walk in it daily, and let the light that saved you become the light that saves others. Chosen one. Heaven has written your name in the covenant of the redeemed. You have been marked, not by title or status, but by endurance, the kind that is forged in silence, in waiting, in pain. The covenant you walk in is not of convenience but of calling. It was not formed in comfort but in conflict. Every tear you shed has sealed it. Every prayer you whispered in weakness has signed it. Every battle you survived has confirmed it. You are no longer who you were. You are a covenant carrier. The world may see only a person, but the spirit realm recognizes a seal upon your soul. You belong to the lineage of the chosen, the ones who refuse to bow, who rise after every fall, who keep believing even when there is no evidence left to believe in, as was declared in the book of Exodus, chapter 19, verse 5. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. Although the whole earth is mine, you are that treasured possession. You are the proof that obedience is more powerful than opinion, that surrender opens more doors than striving ever could. The covenant you carry is not a contract, it's communion. It is not built on fear, but on faith. You are not bound by obligation, you are bound by love. When heaven chose you, it did not consult your past. The covenant was never based on perfection, it was built on grace. God did not look for the qualified, He qualified the called. The world saw your failures, but heaven saw your fire. It saw what would happen when pain met purpose, when brokenness met belief, and that collision birthed something eternal in you. Chosen one. This covenant is not just protection, it's partnership. You walk hand in hand with divine purpose. Every time you obey the whisper of God, the covenant deepens. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, you strengthen it. Every time you choose humility over pride, heaven records it as faithfulness. You have entered the season where heaven begins to honor your endurance. The years of hiddenness were not wasted, they were the proving ground of your covenant. You were tested not to break, but to reveal what was already inside you. Every time you thought you were losing, you were actually learning to hold the weight of glory without collapsing under it. You are part of a sacred pattern that stretches through eternity. Abraham had his altar, Moses his mountain, David his wilderness, Esther her throne, and now you have your moment. Your altar may be invisible, but it is no less holy. Every yes you have given in secret has become incense before heaven's throne. The covenant has always been about trust. God entrusts you with revelation because He knows you will carry it carefully. You don't chase attention, you chase alignment. You are not desperate for recognition, you crave righteousness. And that humility has made you dangerous to darkness. When the storms come, you don't panic anymore. You understand now that storms do not break covenant, they prove it. A covenant with God doesn't promise an easy path, it promises an unshakable foundation. The winds may roar, but the root will not move. The waves may crash, but the promise will not drown. You are walking proof that faithfulness outlasts opposition. The enemy has thrown everything at you: distraction, discouragement, doubt, but you kept walking. You kept praying. You kept believing that the same God who called you in the light would sustain you in the dark. That kind of faith cannot be taught. It can only be tested. There is a beauty in your endurance that heaven delights in. You've learned to love without condition, to serve without applause, to trust without clarity. These are the quiet fruits of covenant. You've learned that strength isn't loud, it's loyal. It's showing up again and again when the world expects you to disappear. Now, God is elevating you not because of ambition, but because of assignment. He is placing you in positions where your heart will speak louder than your words. You are being trusted to represent His nature, to walk in grace where others choose revenge, to carry peace into chaos, to live truth without arrogance. This covenant you carry makes you a mirror of heaven. People will see you and sense something different, not perfection, but presence. You are becoming the evidence that God still walks with humanity, that His promises still breathe, that His love still chooses the unlikely. Chosen one, you have endured what others could not, so that you might carry what others cannot. The weight of the covenant is heavy, but so is the reward. There will be seasons when the loneliness feels sharp, but even in solitude, heaven surrounds you. You are never alone in the covenant, its keeper walks beside you. So stand tall. You are not merely a believer, you are a bearer of promise. The covenant written over your life cannot be erased by circumstance or opinion. It is sealed by the same hand that wrote eternity. You are heaven's evidence that the covenant still stands, unbroken, unshaken, unending. Walk in it, chosen one, with reverence, with boldness, with peace. For the God who called you has not changed His mind. Chosen one. The atmosphere is heavy with holy tension. You've come to the edge of something vast, something that both excites and terrifies your spirit. The light of your covenant now stands face to face with the shadow of the world, and the clash between them is intensifying. This is the final confrontation, the moment where everything you've learned will be tested. You can feel it, the pressure, the pull, the spiritual electricity in the air. It's as though two realms are wrestling for your attention. Heaven calls you upward, and the world whispers, stay where it's safe. But safe is no longer an option. You were not chosen for comfort, you were chosen for conquest. You were never meant to tiptoe through destiny, you were meant to tread on serpents. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 21. How long will you waver between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow Him. If Baal, follow him. That question still echoes through time, reaching your ears now. How long will you waver between hesitation and obedience, between faith and fear? Between your calling and your comfort zone, the time for decision has arrived. You must stand. But standing in this hour isn't about shouting louder or fighting harder. It's about standing deeper. It's about digging your roots so far into truth that no storm can uproot them. It's about being so anchored in grace that even when the winds of the world scream, your peace does not flinch. You are entering the last battle of becoming the confrontation between the old you and the anointed you. The version of you that used to chase approval must die so that the version chosen by heaven can rise. The world around you may still see scars, but heaven sees a soldier. Every battle scar is not evidence of defeat, it's proof of divine survival. And while you walk through this tension, know this: you are not fighting alone. Every time you stand for truth, angels align behind you. Every time you choose forgiveness over fury, heaven records it as victory. Every time you refuse to give in to despair, light wins another inch of ground. The darkness has been loud because it is desperate. It can sense its time near you is ending. You are not under attack, you are under acceleration. The shaking isn't meant to break you, it's meant to expose the unshakable within you. You are becoming what you were always meant to be, a living lighthouse for those lost at sea. And now, as you read these words, I want to speak to you not as a preacher, but as a brother, a sister, a fellow traveler in the light. If these messages have reminded you of who you are, if they've reignited your courage when the world tried to snuff it out, I ask you to keep the fire alive. When you like this message, you aren't just reacting, you're resonating. Every like tells the digital winds, this light matters. Let it travel further. You turn an algorithm into a river of grace, carrying these words to hearts that have forgotten how to hope. When you share, you are sowing seeds into unseen soil. Somewhere, someone will scroll through despair tonight and find this word because you passed it along. It's like tossing a bottle into the ocean with a message inside. You are not alone. When you subscribe, you step into the circle of the awakened, those who listen not with ears, but with spirit. You become part of something that moves quietly but powerfully, spreading faith like fragrance in the wind. And if your heart feels stirred, if something in you whispers, this must continue, you can donate, not as an obligation, but as participation. Every gift you give becomes like water poured onto the roots of this mission, allowing it to keep growing, keep reaching, keep lighting fires where the night feels longest. Think of it as tending a flame. Each time you support, you add another log to the fire. Each word shared, each seed sown, keeps this light from flickering out in a stormy world. Together, we aren't just surviving, we are spreading the warmth of heaven across the coldest corners of earth. And yes, leave a comment below. Your voice matters more than you realize. Write something from your heart. Something simple. Something true. Maybe just a sentence of gratitude, a word of encouragement, or a reflection that others can feel. You never know who will read your words and find the courage to rise again. Sometimes your comment becomes the echo that heals another soul. Chosen one. This moment isn't about building followers, it's about building faith. Every like, every share, every comment, every donation is a thread in the divine tapestry that connects hearts around the world. Together, we are crafting a network of light strong enough to outshine despair. So as this battle intensifies, remember this: you are not a spectator, you are a soldier of light. You are not a face in the crowd, you are part of heaven's chorus, singing hope into the noise. The world needs your voice, your faith, your courage. Don't let the fire stop here. Pass it on. Feed it. Nurture it. Because when one chosen one burns bright, others remember that they, too, carry flame. Chosen one. The tide is turning. What once pressed against you is now receding. You can almost feel the shift beneath your feet. The ground that once trembled with uncertainty now steadies beneath the weight of divine reversal. Every scheme, every curse, every whisper of failure sent against you is collapsing under the gravity of heaven's decree. What was meant to crush you is now crowning you. For so long, you have walked through valleys that seemed endless. You've endured seasons where the heavens felt silent, where prayers went unanswered and faith felt like foolishness. But even in that silence, something holy was forming. You thought you were breaking, but you were being built. You thought you were being stripped, but heaven was making space for something greater. Now, the reversal begins. The very ground that witnessed your tears will soon echo with your laughter. The same stage where you were shamed will become the platform for your testimony. The same mouths that spoke against you will one day speak of your restoration. You will not have to prove yourself. God will do it for you. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verse 37, "For with God, nothing will be impossible." Those words are not a distant promise, they are your present reality. The impossible is losing its meaning around you. You are walking into a season where what could not happen must happen. Because heaven has spoken, doors that were locked for years will swing open with ease. Situations that seemed irredeemable will blossom with sudden grace. The very areas of your life that caused you the most pain will become the places of your greatest praise. The curse has run its course. Every cycle of loss, every pattern of disappointment, every generational chain that once bound your family is shattering. You may not hear the sound, but heaven does. It's the echo of liberation. What took years to build against you will fall in moments at the sound of divine authority. Chosen one. What's happening now is not coincidence, it's compensation. You are entering the season of divine exchange. The ashes you carried will be traded for beauty, the heaviness for joy, the despair for dancing. What was stolen will be restored not equally, but abundantly. The scale of heaven always tips toward overflow. Your reversal is not just external, it's internal. The heaviness that lived in your heart is lifting. The bitterness that clung to your memory is dissolving. You are beginning to forgive, not because they deserve it, but because you do. Freedom is not found in revenge, it is born in release. You are being unchained from every false identity you ever accepted. Every label that life, people, or pain placed upon you is being peeled away. The world called you broken, heaven calls you beloved. They called you weak, heaven calls you warrior. They said you were finished, but heaven says you've only just begun. You are the reversal in motion. You are the living prophecy that curses end where faith begins. You are the reminder that what the enemy built for destruction, God transforms into direction. Every scar is now a signature of survival. Every wound a doorway for light. And do you feel it? That deep quiet in your spirit? It's not emptiness, it's completion. You've entered the eye of the storm where peace reigns, not because the wind has stopped, but because your roots have grown deeper than the wind can reach. This is what divine maturity feels like. You no longer chase vengeance or validation. You no longer panic when storms rise. You've learned to watch them with calm assurance, knowing they cannot uproot what God has established. Even your memories are being rewritten. The moments that once haunted you will soon become holy ground. You will look back and see divine fingerprints on every fracture, every delay, every detour. You will say, "Now I see why it had to happen this way." And your gratitude will be louder than your grief ever was. The reversal of the curse does not mean the past disappears, it means its power does. What once controlled you will now serve you. You will use the same pain that once silenced you to bring healing to others. You will speak with authority, not because you studied victory, but because you survived defeat. You are stepping into a rhythm of restoration that will ripple through your family line. Generations after you will walk freer because of your obedience. What bound your parents will not bind your children. What took decades to destroy will take only days to restore. And when people ask how it happened, you won't need to explain. You'll simply smile and say, "God turned it." Because that's exactly what He did. He turned mourning into movement, sorrow into song, tragedy into testimony. Chosen one, you are standing in the place where curses unravel and promises manifest. You are the evidence of divine reversal, the living proof that no force, no failure, no word spoken in malice can override the decree of heaven. Walk boldly now. The tide has turned, and grace is in motion. What was once your burden is now your blessing. What was once your valley has become your vineyard. And from this point forward, everything that rises against you will only serve to lift you higher. Chosen one, dawn is breaking. The long night that once seemed endless is lifting its veil, and the first light of destiny is spilling across the horizon of your life. You are not who you were when this journey began. You carry the marks of both battle and blessing, the fragrance of both fire and freedom. The storm has passed. The tide has turned. And now heaven calls you to rise. The prophetic rising is not a moment, it is a becoming. It is the unveiling of everything that was planted in you before time began. You are stepping out of obscurity and into purpose. You are no longer the one searching for meaning, you have become the message. Your scars now shine like scripture written on skin, testifying that grace is greater than grief. For so long, you waited for rescue. But now, you understand that rescue was never the end goal, it was resurrection. God did not bring you out of darkness so you could return to safety. He brought you out so you could stand as a living monument of His mercy. You are no longer merely surviving, you are standing as a vessel of victory. The voice of God thundered in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you." That is not just a verse, it is a decree. It is heaven's announcement over your life. Every step you take from this point forward carries weight. You walk not as one who wonders, but as one who knows. You've tasted both the wilderness and the wonder. And now you carry wisdom that cannot be learned in comfort. You are no longer afraid of the shadows because you have become light itself. Darkness can no longer intimidate you, it can only retreat when you arrive. Your words, once fragile with fear, now carry authority. Your prayers, once whispered in desperation, now thunder in the unseen realm. You have become what the enemy feared most awakened. Look at your journey, how every valley became a lesson, how every heartbreak became holy ground. You have learned to hear heaven in silence, to find meaning in pain, to recognize divine patterns in the mess of the human story. The same hands that once trembled now heal others with compassion. The same heart that once broke now beats with purpose. Chosen one, you are rising not for yourself, but for the countless souls who will draw courage from your example. You are the torchbearer for a generation that has forgotten how to hope. When they see your calm in chaos, your faith in fire, your peace in persecution, they will remember who they are. You are not just chosen, you are contagious with light. The world will call it strength, but heaven knows it as surrender. The rising of the chosen is not loud, it is luminous. It does not need to prove itself, it simply radiates. You will walk into rooms and shift atmospheres without speaking a word, not because of who you are, but because of who walks with you. And as you rise, heaven smiles. Every tear you ever cried has become a gem in your crown. Every moment you almost quit has become a testament of grace. Every delay that frustrated you was a rehearsal for this unveiling. You were never behind schedule, you were being synchronized with eternity. The rising of the chosen is not the end of struggle, it is the beginning of stewardship. You now carry revelation, and with it comes responsibility. You will be called to speak when silence feels safer, to love when hatred seems easier, to stand when others bow. You were born for such a time as this. This is not the finale, it is the unfolding. The light in you is not just for this generation, but for those yet to come. You are a living prophecy, proof that God still writes stories out of ashes, that heaven still chooses the broken to display his brilliance. Chosen one, lift your head. The dawn belongs to you. You have endured the night, and now you are the sunrise heaven has been preparing. Walk forward, radiant and unafraid, for the glory that has risen upon you will never fade. You are not just surviving history, you are shaping eternity. Chosen one, you've reached the end of this journey, but in truth, this is only the beginning. These words were never meant to be a story you read. They were meant to be a mirror reflecting the strength, light, and divine purpose already inside you. You are not who you were when this began. You have walked through revelation, endured refinement, and risen into radiance. You are the proof that heaven still moves. If this message has touched your spirit, if something inside you stirred, healed, or awakened, then don't let the fire stop here. When you like this message, it's more than a reaction. It's a way of letting heaven know, I hear you. When you share, you become the bridge that carries hope to another soul who's still wandering through their night. Your comment matters too. Right from your heart, your words could be the confirmation someone else has been praying for. Maybe all they need is a sentence from you to remember that they are not forgotten. And when you subscribe, you're not joining a page, you're joining a movement. A circle of chosen ones walking together, carrying light into every dark place this world tries to hide. Let your engagement today be an act of faith, not just support. Together, we're building something sacred, an echo of heaven that travels through screens and into souls. Your story is just beginning. Keep shining. Keep sharing. Keep rising. Heaven is not done with you yet.